Guys, good Wednesday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's good to be with you on a chilly Wednesday across the I Love CVille Network. Last night's city council meeting, I watched it from start to finish. We're going to talk about the council meeting. Cliff Notes version quickly. Three things that were the hot topic were the credit card policy, as predicted on this show. A new policy in a future work session will be put in play, and that policy is going to be clear-cut of what you can and cannot do. Also, as predicted on the show, the West Main Streetscape project and the Market Street Parking Garage project. Those three items were the hot topic yesterday in City Council on a Tuesday edition, a fiery edition of City Council on a Tuesday. Folks that called in and offered their perspective during public comment. You had Don Gathers call in. You had Tanisha Hudson call in. Dr. Wes Bellamy called in. Former City Councilor Dr. Wes Bellamy shared his perspective during public comment. A lot of people, in fact, called in from a public comment standpoint. It was a long meeting. It was particularly long because the closed-door session before council started, the 5 councilors had a closed-door session. That closed-door session was only supposed to last about an hour. It ran over. And when it ran over, it kind of left Brian Wheeler, the Director of Communications at City Hall in Charlottesville, kind of having to fill airtime. And when he was filling airtime, he was scrolling through the various city website and saying, here are the updates we've made to the city website to fill airtime as the councilors got out of their closed session and headed to the dais for the meeting. Or frankly, this was done via Zoom. So got out of their closed door session via Zoom and then got into the public Zoom call, which we saw yesterday on the official city Facebook page. So a lot we're going to cover on today's show. I'm going to stick to the facts, only 100% relay facts to you on today's program. In fact, I'm going to let the counselors do the talking. We'll play 2 clips from last night's meeting to put in perspective the fiery nature of what's happening and perhaps the tenuous relationship of the 5 leaders in our community on the dais. Carl Brown is going to join us in studio. We got an earpiece for you, Carl, so you can hear the video clip. If you head on over here to your chair, that'll go in your right ear over there, and I want to make sure you have this clip. That way you can respond and react, Carl, of what we're about to play. Judah Wickhauer's our director. Crystal Napier is going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour. This is an important show for Charlottesville. It's an important show for Charlottesville. The long-form nature of this show, I'm not restricted to a 30-minute newscast. That 30-minute newscast is not tied to 8 minutes of commercial, okay? A 30-minute newscast might have 22 minutes of content, and that's it. That means you have 30 seconds per news story. I don't have those restrictions, okay? The podcast network is not our primary source of income. We put this together because we want to bring quality news to you about a community that we're emotionally, physically, financially invested in, and that's Charlottesville and Central Virginia. So please, tag your friends, text them now, and say you need to watch the program, because you need to. And I'm going to stick 100% to the facts and allow the video to do the talking. The first item on the agenda that reared its head was the credit card policy. I'm going to play a video clip, that way you can hear it, from last night. Carl Brown is on set, front of the program. And we knew this was going to be a hot topic on the show, on the hot topic on City Council. Never in our wildest imagination did we anticipate what we're about to play for you. Judah, do you have the first clip with Councilor Snook and Mayor Nakiah Walker ready to play? Please have that ready to go. I'll count you in, sir. This is the 2 counselors discussing, I'm going to play it now so you can hear it, the need for a new credit card policy. Judah, if you can play this in 3, and 2, and 1.
Then if you want to talk about doing better, start with having a policy where council as a whole, not individual councilors, spend money. You complained that I used the term
You
slush
haven't-
fund, and that's
you haven't
exactly
been
what I
here.
was discussing.
You haven't been here, one, long enough. You haven't even ever asked me about any of these policies. I had to remind you back in March that you might want to save my number because we would have a lot of conversations over the next year and 9 months.
And I do remember,
Come up with what you deem important, what you want to talk about, as long as you understand that it's never going to include you monitoring me just because it is me, and that we're doing policies that we need to do because they are proper. That is two different things. And that is not what you've been doing today.
if you want to talk about what I was getting at with the term slush fund, you will recall that back in January of last year, I asked whether there was a line item in the budget for any of our expenditures, any of those expenditures, and I was told that I was being either, I can't remember whether you said racist or white supremacist for asking, but in any event, shut down the discussion. So no, I've not had that further discussion with you.
Because again, that's a public discussion, and I'm sure the comments that I've had, that you, and I've had this conversation with Sina also, there is a difference between you being racist, and if you want to own that, that is your business, and me saying that your actions are upholding white supremacy and institutional racism. They are different things, and that's part of the things that we probably should discuss having a training on. Because I shouldn't have had to say that to anybody who ran in this city and is supposed to understand. There is not one time that I have said, Lloyd, you are a racist. I have said that I don't think you would create a very different world than the world we're fighting right now. I've said that to you and to Heather.
You may not have called me a racist. You have directly called me a white supremacist.
Okay, well, show me.
I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
And the meeting that you're talking about is a very public meeting.
This is a point of order. I'm sorry. There are other things that are important that I would like to discuss on this agenda for the public that is engaged in the important discussions. So I
agree.
I think we
And
should
we
move
can
this
move
into the
on.
end.
But as long as you understand when you're running behind the scenes, setting the scenes for a lot of these things that have happened over the first few months, that's when you should be trying to have public discussions. Just because you all do them in the background and I am up front and I'm going to say it publicly doesn't make you all better, Heather, or your actions better. Just because they're undercover and people don't see them doesn't make them right. And just because I'll address you all publicly, instead of pretending, one, either that it didn't happen or that your actions are okay, doesn't make me wrong.
Okay, so that's from last night's city council meeting. And Judah Wickhauer is our director. Why don't we go to the studio camera? We'll welcome friend of the show, Carl Brown, on set 2 weeks in a row. First week, a grand slam. This is his fourth rodeo on the network here. You're a leader. People respect you. Born and raised. Have a large voice that people listen to. What do you make of this?
Definitely some distrust automatically, and I mean we're not even gonna get it. It's some distrust, but I don't think that just bringing that topic up. I think too often that's for the public, and I think we get way caught up in how can I say this? Just going back and forth. I can't. I mean, from a public standpoint, and I'm not disrespect. This is not to target anybody. It was obvious that there were some points brought up earlier that hadn't been addressed. And so therefore, I do feel that, here it is again, there is a lack of a couple things going on. Transparency, I feel like, is a major issue as a whole. And just from, and I'm just gauging it from what I saw. I didn't even see that. This is the first time. And so I'm just going off of perception. I don't have, I can't say what it is. I don't know enough about it, but it's obvious that there is a lack of communication, whether somebody's not listening for whatever reason, and there's a distrust. I heard some stuff about behind the door or behind the scenes meeting when it comes to public information. honestly, that's not something that's not new in Charlottesville. We're not going to, let's don't sugarcoat this. One of the things that from a black community standpoint is we have been looked at as having, we get things after the fact. You know what I'm saying? So to be in that situation, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, and I'm not, this is, again, to anybody listening to this, I am not looking and saying this person. I'm looking at a whole picture that you gave me. You gave me a video, and I'm proceeding. It's obvious that there is some distrust and communication within this. And how long they been on there? They're going into, what, their 4th year?
This is Mayor Walker's 4th year. She's up for a re-election November 3rd. Councilor Snook started January 1 of 2020. So this is now his 2nd year on Councilor Snook. Heather Hill, this is her 4th year. Payne, McGill, and Snook are all starting their 2nd years on council.
It's almost as if I saw some other people who just did, it looked like some of those individuals there did not really want to engage in that. So it looked like it's real personal.
You're talking body language.
I'm talking body language.
I wanted to bring up body language with you because you are a man that reads a room. You have the gift of reading body language. That's what dude, the body language on some of the other folks not in the conversation. What was the body language you were reading there?
The body language, like they almost didn't have anything to do with it. It looks like there's some issues. There's some difference in a lot of things that are now becoming itemized. You understand? And that's what's going on is deeper than that. To me, that's deeper than that. That has nothing to do with the conversation. Generally, the filler conversations are for a broader feel of what is being said and what the feelings are in terms of one individual to another individual. There's a different, and I get it. Listen, let's don't sugarcoat this. We have a older white man. And we're not.
That's what I'm hoping to have this conversation.
Listen,
here,
let's put it in real. Let's look at the real of what this is.
Right.
First of all, from a society standpoint, and don't take this personal, but it is what it is. If we start doing research, it's not going to come up like, oh, we didn't do this. The perception of white men in America is gradually changing more and more because the power structure of what has been is now being kind of unfolded in how business practices are, how white men deal with white men. All right, this is a very
old boys club.
Old boy, the good old boy network.
And
that's what it is, the good old boy network. Never in a million years did I think, and I'm glad we can have this conversation, but never in a million years growing up did you even think you would have the the good old boy conversation publicly, because that was a club. Ain't no club no more. You're exposed. And let's put it is what it is. If you hit, you're exposed. I'm not gonna go personally into what it is, but that perception to me, watching it, came off like that. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't a level of listening to learn. It was more, I'm gonna reply to whatever you got going on. And so when you have to defend yourself and constantly defend yourself, and you got this perception, I don't see nobody else defending themselves. And there's been a lot of stuff that took place on this board. I find out, how about this? Let's put the peas in the pods where it is. I'm not judging anyone. It just, if I put that on mute and didn't listen to a word of that, I would take it that there may be some lack of respect from one towards another. Put it however you want to put it.
Probably mutual.
It's probably mutual. Why is that?
Distrust.
Why is it distrust? Well, you got one that you saying, oh, you the angry black woman. And then you got the other, you the good old white man. And
that's what's happening to a certain extent.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, that's what's happening.
Now, I wouldn't necessarily, people, and people get this twisted all the time. You can't take a person's you got to know what somebody been through before you start saying what they are. Because everybody on that board worked to get on that board. You had to go to an election. You had to get votes. You got to do some work.
Yeah, you have to grind to get on council.
Listen, so there for some paths were a little different than other paths. You understand? We all know that 2021 showed us a lot of things. 2020 showed us a lot of things about everything before us. And that is, it ain't fair out here. It ain't fair out here. Equity is not for everybody. Equity has not been for everybody. A lot of what has been perpetuated has been underground in terms of conversations that have been had that don't include everybody, that have a particular motive for particular people. And so none of this is new. Now, if you want to say, well, I've been knowing people forever. Listen, if you want to sum it up, let's sum it up like this.
You were born when?
I was born in 1968.
1968 where?
Charlottesville.
Charlottesville, Virginia. 1968, born in Charlottesville.
Right. So I've seen it, Jeff.
He's got perspective. That's
perspective.
why
I've seen both. Listen, I'm in that 50. I'm 25 down, 25 up.
Yeah.
So I've kind of seen the gamut of growing up in the 70s, living in. I've seen.
You speak it from personal experience.
Listen. What's going on right now? My grandfather dealt with. This is not new. As a black man trying to aspire in Charlottesville and doing the right thing, and my grandfather dealt with that. Well, no, he can't get that property. He can get this property, and it's, again, man, it just comes down to people not respecting other people. There's still that thing that there are still white people that believe, I don't care what you are, what you do, whatever, you'll never be better than a white person. Ever. I just looked at The Banker last night. Most intriguing movie I've ever seen. Because you see this little guy learn how to run a bank, how to buy a bank. And the only thing that stopped him, he made his money and all that. The only thing that stopped him was he was a black man. He went to jail for being a black man running a bank, and the government took everything from him. So there are two sides to this. Now, how you internalize that? Do you walk around with a chip? I don't know. You know, I learned to do what I got to do. You put that work in. It's always about the work. That's motivation for me to see, okay, this is done because that's a barrier. You know that. But we're getting closer to the time where whether America want to believe it or not, that's not going to be a barrier no more. And it's coming. And so unless you learn how to voluntarily cooperate, and understand this is how it's going now. Business is going to be business. Capitalism is going to be capitalism. Because it's already happening, whether you want to believe it or not. I mean, there are people doing things, doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. This town ain't ready for some up in your face kind of stuff. And whether we say it's wrong, right, or indifferent, I'm not going to put something on it. I'm not going to, and I'm not condoning it, but I'm not going to jump on no bandwagons because of what somebody say and how I come off and somebody feel into it. Because if I can watch the President of the United States tell athletes, not just general athletes, I work with athletes, so you telling my guy, who I know totally different, who is way bigger than that, dribble the ball and shut up. He didn't say you or you. He said y'all need to dribble the ball and shut up. Really?
Trump said that to NBA
Trump said that to
players.
NBA. And when Kaepernick took the knee, if it was me, get them out of here. Who he talking about? So if your president, former president, can say that, and I'm not saying I'm against him. I'm not saying I'm for him. I'm not saying I'm for anybody. I'm just putting in facts.
You're doing
F-A-C-T-S.
You're doing
facts.
a comparable.
I'm comparing. You can't. We can't look at it that way. You can't look at him and say, "Oh, he's horrible," and all of that, and then come back and say that to somebody else. Come on, man. Y'all like that? That's open now. Listen. And if it ain't open, then look at your capital. Look what just happened to your capital. So when somebody go across the grain, I mean, I don't see no civility. Is you just said it, is the perception of an angry black woman against the good old boy.
Let me throw this.
Because those are the two people who were talking, and it sounded like it was kind of verification of, because evidently I heard her say she offered a number, and I don't know. I'm just going off of what I saw.
Right, the clip.
So
right.
There probably was no, or has been, no communication in between that time. And so what's happening there is behind the scene conversations, and then they popping up on they pop quiz. So you could have had this conversation with me another time. You're gonna wait till we have it in a public forum. Just what is this? Is almost becoming like a reality show. But that's almost.
I think that a lot of that is true in that there's so much distrust that the conversation is now only happening on the record, so they can all look to the paper trail of the conversation because there's that level of distrust. And I got one more I want to play for you. You're getting props from countries, not just Charlottesville, but countries. Shows the friendships that you have. Dan Harlan, giving you some props. Dennis Talley, Michelle Tanner, Terrence Coleman, Diana Bokey, David Bridges, Carter Brown, people calling you the GOAT. David says, I love you, fam. Folks watching in Europe and in Northern Virginia right now. Mixon McBee, I'll get to your comments here in a matter of moments. One more clip from last night with Heather. And then I want to ask this question to you. Okay, here's the question. What in 2018, in a post-August 12th time in Charlottesville?
Post-August 12th. Okay.
Yeah, post-August 12th time in Charlottesville. How should leaders lead? I guess you're a leader. And what I'd like to ask of you is how we can use or leverage or highlight some of the leadership tactics that you have and bring those into the conversation here in Charlottesville.
Okay,
Because I want to play the clip first so they can see it. Because I think what we have here is the following. Distrust, maybe poor communication amongst the five, and I'm speaking five together, not individual people. Distrust amongst the five, lack of communication amongst the five, and perhaps that's impacting leadership amongst the five, holistically. So I'm going to play it here. J-Dubs, if you can get the clip with Heather Hill, please. Councilor Heather Hill and Mayor Nakia Walker, we'll play that. I'll cue it up here on this so Mr. Brown here can see it. Carl Brown can hear it and see it. And then we'll go straight to it. Got a lot of people watching you here. J-Dubs in 3, in 2, in 1.
And as we had discussed earlier, I think that all of our goal is that we align on a policy that everyone is aware of, and that does not put our staffs in a position where they are having to review and approve any expenditures from any counselors. And I believe that's where there is consensus, and I hope that that's where ultimately our discussions get to. That certainly is the only objective that I understand.
Yes, but that was not your objective after this memo came out. Your next email said we need to have a closed session.
To talk about a policy.
Counselor Snook sent an email talking about I don't have a personal slush fund. That does not sound like either two people who are interested in solutions only. It's clear that you all thought that something had been done.
I'm happy to share the email that I sent. It acknowledges that we all want to be able to help our more vulnerable populations and those that are not able to have their voice at the table participate in the public dialogue. But there are processes that we need to follow in order for that to happen, or else we may collectively be facing some liabilities. And so I think that our priority right now, for our sake and for staff.
So are we facing that liability, Heather?
Policies.
No, we're not.
I'm saying in the future, now that there is an understanding that there are concerns, we need to have a policy in place and to be able to have a checks and balances system that does not place the onus on our subordinates.
All right, so that's the second clip from last night's meeting with Charlottesville City Council. We literally have countries watching us here. Maurice Ford is watching from Beirut. He said 2 straight weeks of Real Talk with Carl Brown. I'm glad I tuned in. Rita Jones, I'm screaming all the way from Tampa, Florida. I love you, Carl Brown. Please always be transparent. So why don't we start with an open-ended question, what your thoughts were on that clip, and then I want to ask you about leadership. Because we got 5 folks here that maybe need some guidance on leadership. Holistically, all 5 together. Unless you disagree, and if you disagree, you know I have thick skin.
Oh, no. That's me. Listen, I'm going to keep listening. Don't take it personal. If you ask me a question, I want to be straight up, because I think I'm going to say what a lot of people are going to say. And part of that, stop getting to the point where somebody says something you don't like, and then you take it to heart like I'm marking you or I'm saying this person. Nah, listen, these are public figures. I have not seen this video. You showed me a video and asked me would I come in blindly, which I generally don't do, but from a standpoint of being able to look at it from that standpoint, don't be personal and looking at this person. Let's look at it from the whole. Because again, what I would tell them, regardless of what y'all got going on, collectively, y'all supposed to be running us. Y'all supposed to be leading us. And I ain't talking about one person, I'm talking about 5. Everybody's supposed to be bringing something in there. Something to the table. That's what you ran on. That's what you got out here and got votes for. That's what you portrayed. So it's one or two things going on. Either we got to get to a point where y'all can have some kind of training, whatever, where y'all can learn just to get along how to go about that way, or some of y'all was lying when you got on like true politicians do sometime and did it for the sake of just getting into politics, and now you're there, now you're going to do what they do. It's either one or the other. You don't get no passes. Stop giving passes. I don't get a pass. You don't get a pass. We're not giving out no passes. You understand? So it's two different things. It's funny, the interaction between. All right, so I saw one video. It came off real personal. So the individual she was talking to the first time was personal. That was, you got your own slush fund. Come on, man. We shouldn't even be addressing at that you and what you do and what I do. That's petty. That's what you do in high school. You understand? That's petty. Now you're trying to make somebody take up all that time to make somebody justify something that's going to work itself out. There is a process. Don't use our time to talk about a process that's going to work itself out. That's my point. We talk about professionals and all, so don't waste our time doing that, because I need to see some movement going on in this community. I'm seeing the people do the work. I ain't seeing a whole bunch of work. You understand? I ain't seeing no whole bunch of work. Period. You can say what you want. Maybe it's going to close doors, but that work needs to be able to transfer from that we are disgusted to the people, to the community,
Action.
to the streets. Action. We need to see that. Y'all can have that conversation that y'all want to have all day long. That's something y'all need to do on your personal time, not on our time. Number 2, I watched it go from personal, then it went to protocol real fast. So you got a person that was going off of their feelings after being attacked or a comment being made about some personal stuff, and then it goes into protocol. Those are discussions that you have behind closed doors. So we need to be doing the reverse. If I could just say one thing, be transparent. Listen, thick skin, you got to, and I don't, listen, y'all been doing this for a long time. So at this point right now, y'all probably got defense mechanisms. Everybody on that board probably got a defense mechanism up. Either I'm not going to say a word because I have nothing to do with it. This is crazy because this is not what I signed up for. I'm not going to get attacked because of whatever. You're not going to dominate this because of whatever. And I just want, however it go. There's 5 different things going on. At what point does it become collective? I don't care what, you got to get the work done. And if you're not going to do the work, go ahead and say it. Either resign or when you run for election, say, look, it's a game. I'm not really serious about this. Some people don't elect you, man. We in that time, we ain't got time for people to be playing with other people's lives. We're in a pandemic, and that's on TV. We're in a pandemic, unemployment, people got a bunch of different stuff on. What they looking for is some hope, some relief. Tell me we gonna work this out.
That's leadership, right?
That's what a leader does.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you go off of the national scope,
Then you're saying this is how leaders act in 2021,
well, you know,
based
leaders
on
take
the national scope.
Well, the national scope kind of dictates everything. If you look, hold up. The national scope kind of dictates everything. If you look up prior to, and I'm keeping it 100, if you look up prior to all this coming on and how black women were treated, how they, in politics, it was automatic, perpetuated. See, there's some games that's played that, everybody don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's been played.
Sure.
If we go all the way back, listen, I've been really doing my research on where I come from and people have done before me. I don't like looking at no stuff that ain't got no real value. So I'm going to look at nonfiction stuff that's coming out right now. And what I realize is, first of all, we talk about, we went through this whole thing. Our city had a whole riot on R.E. Lee. I think we missed the boat because I was so, we didn't miss a boat. It made its point and it was a good point. But I think society has advanced so far from it. I think a person almost looking at it, listen, yeah, you focus on R.E. Lee because we got some other stuff going on. If you're asking me, you know what, if I had a true mark to say things have really changed, the first thing I would suggest is for the government, I don't talk about no state government, the first thing to rectify everything that's going on is you go to Washington, D.C. and get on Congress and you tell them, I want J. Edgar Hoover's name off the federal building for any reason. J. Edgar Hoover did to the black community 20 times worse than R.E. Lee did. He just fought for his people. This dude had what they try to put on Obama. Oh, you having private surveillance and you doing this. Listen, Martin Luther King, somebody infiltrated his government, got him killed. Malcolm X, I just watched that whole thing. Malcolm X had 109 informants in the Audubon ballroom when he was killed. 109. And then Fred Hampton, that nobody knows, don't even want to talk about. I tell you what, this country would be in such a different place, and society knows it, if Fred Hampton had made the move he made. And I'm going to tell you why. Fred Hampton wasn't about black. He wasn't about white. He was about justice for all people. So he was able in Chicago, Illinois, to take poor whites who thought that blacks was trying to do that to him and say, y'all in the same boat we in. And take Hispanics and say, guess what? Y'all in the same boat we in. And get them all together and say, you tell what your issues is, you tell what your issues is, you tell what your issues are. And now we got them, because this is the people. This ain't got nothing to do with no color. Now, basically, Martin Luther King took one shot, and he was set up, because that was easy. It was an easy setup. They flipped Malcolm's people on him because there was some disdainment. When it came to Fred Hampton, they knew a couple things. And J. Edgar Hoover said it. He'll become way more popular in jail than he is on the streets because he'll write books and he'll become a noted author, number one. And number two, he got leaders. You got to cut the head off. And that's why they went in his house and they shot his house up 99 times while he was in the bed. That's the story. Go do your homework. So when we talk about that kind of stuff, it's deep-rooted. And so these levels of what we see is just it all rising to the top. At this point, you can't put a lid on it. You got to deal with it. And those who are used to a different kind of way of living, if you're not trying to help everybody, you probably going to get phased out. And that's the fear. People have been living a different kind of life, and now they see the threat of other people trying to live that same life, and now they're intimidated. Now, what kind of thinking is that? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And so in terms of that, people got to identify who you really are. If you really are that individual that has that perception that I am superior to you, or you probably don't want for office because you're going to find yourself getting jacked up because you're not being transparent. You can come out and fake it till you make it all day, but you're going to slip. You're going to slip. Even if you're making it personal, you're going to slip. From this standpoint, it don't look good. You got an older, good old boy talking to a black woman, and he ain't talking about politics. He ain't telling her how, listen, as accomplished and respected as that dude is, it would make sense to me if we're on the same city council that we can have some lunch and let me teach you how to go about this. I got your point. I know where you're coming from. But let me show you how to do it this way so it don't come off like that. See, we won't give the information. That's going to be the biggest thing, giving good information to help people be better. Do you know what that would look like? Just think about if this dude who had this as much experience in this realm pulled her to the side and said, hey, I see where you're going. I can help you a little way. You probably don't want to do this, and you probably don't. And now when they come in there, you got a respectful. But if you're looking at it like, yeah, you just like everybody else, and she's like, I'm not like everybody else, what you going to get? That's going to be an automatic riff, and then you're going to have, just like you look, you're going to have some sideline players. And look at our government. The Congress is our sideline players. You don't know which way to go because they don't know which way to go. Who the leader? Leadership should benefit the people that you're leading, period. I don't care what you say. In some way, shape, or form. That's it. You can't get around that. If you're calling yourself a leader, then you're probably not a leader because leaders don't call themselves leaders. The people that they lead will tell you they are the best leaders in the world.
Get us out of here on this note. I have Crystal Napier coming up in 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's 1:09. 39 minutes with you is a breeze. Mm-hmm. And, let me give some people giving you props here. Andrea Carter.
Hey, Andrea. Hold on, let me just do this. Everybody that's giving me props, you know it's all love. I could be on here another 30 minutes just shouting out. But shout out to all the love. Appreciate you tuning in.
You said, in about 2 minutes here, before Crystal comes on, you said leading, you have to lead, and you have to lead for everyone.
Again, it's simple. Leadership should always benefit the individuals that you're leading. It should never benefit you. You should never be the cure-all, end-all. If you're leading people, you should be teaching them how to be better leaders. So it's a trickle-down effect. So when you leading somebody, and then they go lead somebody else, and then each of them are becoming leaders in their own right. So therefore, you have a leader from the top, because you're the leader for city council, but then you'll have leaders all the way to the ground floor. Where
Sure.
You will always be able to do that, and you know it's getting done. If you got to do everything, and everything got to come to you, and we got to ask,
You're not a good leader. You
you're a dictator.
You haven't empowered the people
It's
around
called
you.
a dictator. Basically, they're going to come to you, and you're going to dictate to them what's going to go down. That's why they call it a dictator.
Okay, in the final 45 seconds here, how do you characterize the leadership we have now, and where does it need to go?
I think they view themselves as 5 different kinds of leaders. I won't say they're not leaders. I'm just saying, and one of the hardest things to do is get leaders together in the same room. That's all, definitely, or individuals who want to lead in the same room to get along. Because again, you leading, so your ideas, those ideas, voluntary cooperation is what they need to learn. This ain't about none of y'all. At the end of the day, it ain't about none of y'all. It's for the community. So voluntary cooperate to discuss how we going to work this thing out. And behind closed doors, have those real intricate discussions if you want to scream to the top of your lungs. But see, most people don't want to do that. See, that requires you to be transparent. And then you got to tell a lot of yourself. And you got some older cats in this joint, and you got some younger people in this. And so a lot of people don't know how to play the game. So everybody going to stay in their corners when they got to do, and do what they got to do. This ain't no one-trick pony, so I don't want it to come off like it's one person. It may come off because certain people ain't saying nothing. That's not a one-trick pony. Whether you say, not sometimes, silence is worse than some of the stuff you do. So those other ones who can't step in and say, ho, y'all, let's us have a discussion so we can at least figure this out, because I'm feeling what you feel. I only saw that clip today for a few minutes, and I could just analyze the whole thing.
Well, you analyzed it perftly.
You know,
I mean, you got
we
a
gotta
guy.
be better, man. We got to be better. I don't care. And listen, think who you are. I don't care who you think who you are.
You got just from looking at the clip, you got 2 people in Michael Payne and Cena McGill who are afraid to do anything. And they've, for a year and change, have shown that. And then you got, like you've analyzed correctly, you got the older white guy. You got the African-American woman, and then the wealthy white lady. And they're doing all the talking. And then the other 2 are just in the background, uncertain. And Cena was rubbing her head like humiliated for being there. You saw the body language. I mean, it's just, we're team sports guys. If this was a team in the Jefferson District right now,
you're not going to report it.
Mitch Minor, Harry Terrell, Darren Maynard, Greg Maynard, Mike Maynard, they would have the entire counselors running sprints. They'd be running suicides the entire practice.
I wouldn't say all that, but I would say in terms of, don't ever put in the per because everybody do stuff differently. I would say from a coach's standpoint.
Okay, let's close with that. Crystal's coming
From
up.
a coach's standpoint.
Because you're a coach.
If that was your team, I would make a lot of adjustments and probably play some people who didn't bring that and who could voluntarily cooperate to get along. I would put them in the game and sit them down and say, this is why y'all not playing, because you're an individual, and listen.
It's three alphas that are ball-dependent alphas asking to be ball-dependent out. It's Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. And 2 role players. And the 2 role players are terrified of Irving, Durant, and Harden.
You're going to sum it up just like this. This is what everybody thought. What we're saying right now is what everybody thought the New Jersey Nets were going to be.
This is them.
That's them.
Right.
Now, so let's flip it.
And then Joe Harris is like Michael Payne.
All right, so figure this out. If you're a basketball fan, you just want to watch what we're talking about, go watch the New Jersey Nets and watch what they have.
We're trying to make an analogy
Listen,
here.
we make an analogy.
Yeah.
If you want to use it, go watch how the New Jersey, perception is everything and assuming is even worse than the perception. Listen, we assumed that was going to be the perfect council, and society assumed that the Nets were going to be the worst team in the league. Let's reverse it. This council can't get along, and as a whole, not transparent.
As a whole. Yeah, that's all we've been saying.
Transparent.
As a whole.
So you can fake it till you make it, but at the end of the day,
it's going to be
I know, listen, your brain is the only thing that stay with you every day. So all those thoughts that you not giving out, they still in your head. How you going to get them off? Because they still there. You can't run from yourself, and that go for the whole 5. None of you can run for yourself. It was good when you got on it. You did to celebrate. Now the real work come in. I need to see the real work. And your brain is controlled at all. You can't run from that and then know, so how you going to carry it? How you going to do? How you going to act? And that's on you because the people going to vote for you. I'm only one vote. So, but guess what? I'm going to challenge the people. Listen, when the next group of people come out, we're going to start challenging with some hard-line questions and say, before I let you get in here and do this right here, I want to know where you really at. And I'm going to ask you again. Come back and I want to see and ask the same question, see how much it changed. Because that's what's happening.
The number one question we should be potentially asking Charlottesville city councilors before they get elected to office is not about affordable housing. It's not about credit card policy. It's not about equity and bridging the wealth gap. The number one question we should be asking them, did you grow up playing team sports? Because if you grew up playing team sports, you probably know how to coexist in a starting 5.
Or how do you deal, like one of the questions I said, your interpersonal relation, how you deal with people? How do you deal with people? There are a lot of different people. How do you deal with people?
Let me get to Crystal. Anytime.
Much love.
Anytime.
I'll come back next Wednesday.
Anytime you want to come back.
Let's schedule next Wednesday.
Anytime.
I'll
I'll hit you up. Anytime.
Much
Love this guy.
Love you.
Carl, same, Carl.
Nothing personal, nobody. You just asked for some insight. That's what it was.
Oh, you were fair. You were fair. J-Dubs, let me get Crystal on the line here. And then I'm reaching out to her now. Crystal Napier, owner of Renee's Boutique. She's on the line here. If we can go on a 2-shot side by side, and then we can see Carl out of the studio, please, sir. I will. I think she heard you. Carl Brown says hello. She says hello, Mr. Brown. Hello, Mr. Brown. Dude, you should see him right now. Dude's looking sharp. Oh, you did see him. Dude is looking sharp. She did see him. She thought you looked sharp. Yeah, she thought you looked sharp. All right, Crystal. He says, I appreciate you. The show is yours. Anywhere you want to go on anything we've been talking about so far.
Well, first, I just want to start off. I really enjoyed Mr. Brown's interview. I sent you a message and said, "Don't rush. I can wait."
Oh, I didn't get that message. Sorry.
It's all right because he was schooling us and giving us some fabulous facts and history. He's just a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. So I really respect everything that he was saying on your show today. And I also want to just pay my respects. My hometown, Nelson County, I saw some breaking news today. Alexis Murphy, her body was finally found.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah. And for those that are watching the show that don't have the background, I'm originally from Nelson County, and Alexis Murphy was a 17-year-old high school student at Nelson County. She went to go shopping one evening in Lynchburg and never returned home. They did find her killer, and he is serving 2 life sentences, but they didn't find her body until December 3rd, 2020. And that's 7 years that her family, that I actually know personally, has just been through so much turmoil. So I just want to send my condolences to the Murphy family and everyone that was touched by Alexis Murphy's life. I know it was a huge impact on the community in Nelson County, and I just want to say that I love you all. That's my hometown, and I'm just sending up prayers and loving and care for everyone.
Well said. So Randy Taylor, charged with the murder of the teen, and Crystal was right. He was found guilty in May of 2014, and he's serving 2 life sentences. This is a tough question. Does this offer any kind of chapter closing for the community and the family?
I hope it does. That's the. I think that's one of the things to consider, that they did find her body so they can properly grieve, because I think we've all had thoughts of, could she potentially still be out there? Is she suffering? So I think it's going to take time. So I'm very respectful of that. And I want the family to know that it's okay to take time. As a person, I haven't, my father didn't die a tragic death as Alexis Murphy. So I can't imagine being in their shoes. But I completely empathize and sympathize that if they need time for us to respect any of their wishes of, not going to them as quickly, with the media, because I know we all like to have that story, but just respect that they've truly been through a lot, and just acknowledge that.
Crystal Napier is the owner of Renee's Boutique. She's the chairwoman of Piedmont Housing. She grew up in the area. She went to the University of Virginia. She's a small businesswoman and an entrepreneur. I want to highlight the brand new website. I saw it this morning.
Thank
It
you.
is absolutely elegant and sophisticated and sexy and banging and just like total revamp, and it absolutely looks the part. Judah, if we can get her website, new website. All right, he's getting it on screen now, so we can talk about. I mean, the hero picture on the homepage with you guys, which is on screen, with you guys holding the flowers. You guys all look like supermodels. I mean, talk about all the effort that goes into this. I mean, we're talking copywriting, photo shoots, meeting with developers. I mean, this is a significant project she has done here.
Yes, and I was feeling it. I actually started my first CIC class last night, and I told them, I was like, yeah, I'm a little tired because I finally relaunched my website, and I didn't realize how much work I had to put into it, even though I had the web developers. And the photo on the homepage, we chose that one just because of size. And then I looked at it and I was like, but that encompasses everything that I've been doing for the past 6.5 years. That photo was actually a March of Dimes fashion show that I was supporting. And all of those fabulous ladies wore the very first garment that I started selling at Renee's Boutique, and that's the shawl doll. That is the piece that you can wear in several different ways, and all of them have on a shawl doll. It's just styled differently. And that just speaks to my brand. And as it says on the website, regardless of your style or size, Renee's has you covered. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about, regardless of your size, shape, color, nationality. I want ladies to feel like Renee's Boutique is a safe haven for them to shop and trust me to be their personal stylist, to select styles that are going to flatter their figures and also boost their confidence on the God-given body that we were created.
It's beautiful. It's everything you did came out extremely well. Can you give us an idea into, especially for the fellow entrepreneurs that are watching, timeline for stuff like this? I mean, when we're doing it, it's 30 to 45 days. And if we get anywhere close to 30 to 45 days, we're celebrating and we're happy. I mean, she, for this particular project, is like I said, a copywriter. She's determining where things are going. Everything has to go through her before the site goes live. And it is stressful.
It is. And it took a lot of work on my part, especially at the very bottom of the homepage. There's little tabs, and one says body type. I was very excited to put this together, but it took a lot of work because I wanted ladies to have a guide that shows different body types, and it's still a work in progress. So this probably won't be completed until mid-March, and we started on this project at the end of January. So, it is time consuming, but I will give credit to the young lady that I've been working with, my graphic designer. She was very helpful in helping me identify some things that the web developers needed to know. So it's extremely important to put folks around you that you trust, that have knowledge, because I don't know anything about web developing. I've been running the site for 6.5 years, but what I do on the back end is definitely not coding. So I'm not ashamed to ask questions and grab folks that that quite frankly have an expertise in areas that I don't. And I think that's really important for all of us entrepreneurs, is to extend our network and don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know something. And that, you know, the product is speaking for itself. I've received some amazing compliments. I've received traffic, and I've received sales, which is going to keep me in business.
Good. That's good. That's
So
good.
it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
Guys, the website is amazing. Renee'sBoutiqueLLC.com. Renee'sBoutiqueLLC.com. This businesswoman, Crystal Napier, University of Virginia grad, has recently gotten into the CIC program, and she's touched on this. She just had her first class. So give us some insight into why you chose to do the CIC program, and it's Community Investment Collaborative.
Collaborative, yes. So the reason I chose to do the CIC program is the most important part. I wanted to expand my network. I wanted to collaborate with other like-minded entrepreneurs. And I know that CIC encompasses resources that are going to be useful for my business and also my personal growth. Just last night within our small breakout groups, I already received feedback on my business in general. And it's pretty incredible when you talk to other people, because they give you a perspective that I just wouldn't have thought of. So I'm really excited to be doing the program and just to kind of link up with those resources. Yeah. And speaking on collaboration, Jerry, I was going to touch base on this today. I'm wearing one of my tunic dresses, and it's on our social media. My social media, Facebook and IG, is Renee's Boutique LLC as well. And I do Wear a Dress Wednesday. So I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but every Wednesday when I'm on your show, I have on some type of dress. So Wear a Dress Wednesday, speaking of collaboration, came from a women's conference called the Iron Dresses in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Iron Dresses was started by Sherelle Johnson. And the reason she does Wear a Dress Wednesday is to uplift us as women and know that we have strength in our femininity. So just one more piece to add about the importance of collaboration and networking when you're an entrepreneur. I think that's the real power of entrepreneurship, is that we get to be so diverse and work with so many other like-minded individuals that are creative and exploring things to uplift our community.
Well said. Well said. Do we not? I feel like Renee's Boutique LLC is on the cusp of really, really blowing up here. I mean, you've put so much time and effort into it. You're such a great spokesman and you know, face of the business for Renee's Boutique LLC. 2021, the rest of the year and beyond. What are we thinking, Crystal?
So I'm just, you know, kind of going with the flow and just connecting with some amazing folks. I am really excited. Behind me, I'm giving you all a sneak peek at this new African print, and these are authentic African fabrics.
They're beautiful.
That were actually made in India, and it's Ankara cotton, which is a very high quality cotton. And I connected with the lady that, unfortunately, they're having to close their boutique in Florida, but she was in business for 35 years, and due to COVID, you know, she's high risk, so she closed her shop. However, she was so excited to connect with me because she felt that that I was honest, number one, and a reputable brand, and she really was looking for someone else to kind of carry out that legacy of making women feel beautiful and also promoting the history and the vibrancy of these pieces. So that's my project for this weekend. So stay tuned to Renee's Boutique LLC, because we will be launching that new collection. And I'm also collaborating with another designer, and these designers and boutiques owners are all women of color, which I think is very important for us to be acknowledged and to uplift our businesses. So I think I lost you, Jerry.
Oh, I still got you.
Okay. So I'm really looking forward to, not only just my brand, but also consistently lifting up other women on my own platform. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with more folks just like that this year.
I love it. I love it. Please visit the website, reneesboutiquellc.com. Go there now. Go there this week. Support the business. You got birthday gifts here, anniversary gifts here, Christmas gifts here. Just something sweet for your sweetheart here. When it comes down to it, Renee's Boutique LLC is all about empowerment and self-confidence. That's the mission of Renee's Boutique LLC, empowering and self-confidence of women from any background. I'm so grateful for the time. Crystal, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for making the show better today.
Thank you, Jerry. Have a wonderful day.
You too. You have a good one too, Crystal. Today has been a good show, guys. You see what we try to do with the show. It's just an open forum is what we try to do. We've had a number of folks reach out to us about coming on the program. Juan Diego Wade is tentatively scheduled for tomorrow. Juan Diego Wade is running for city council. So if the weather holds out, we'll see if we can get Juan Diego Wade tomorrow in studio, and if not, via Skype or phone call. Kathy Galvin, one-time Charlottesville city councilor, has reached out to us as well. We'll see if we can get former councilor Kathy Galvin on the show. We've had folks from the delegates in Richmond reach out to come on the program next week, as have former senators of Virginia. We've had folks that are running for governor reach out to come on the program in March. Pete Snyder, who's running for governor. We'll see if we can welcome anyone. This show is an open forum, regardless of money, of race, of background. We have an open forum where we talk about real stuff on this network. It's real stuff that needs to be discussed. We're not going to shy away from topics that make us uncomfortable or awkward. We're going to hold folks accountable, and we're going to hold folks accountable in a way that is fair. That's the show. For Carl, for Crystal, for Judah, my name is Jerry Miller. This is the I Love CVille Show on the I Love CVille Network. Thank you kindly for joining us today on a Wednesday. You guys have a good one.